Hey everyone, good morning, good evening, good day, depending on when you're watching this. Today I thought I'd tell you a little bit about my favourite books because, as I may have mentioned before, I'm a massive bookworm and I absolutely love reading and like transforming myself into another world. So I thought that's what I'd do today. As I am home and standing in front of my beautiful bookshelf, and I'm not gonna lie, this is one of the things that I've missed the most, being away from home. Most of these, no doubt, you would have heard of before, some of them you might not have, and they're all a mixture of genres and lengths and fiction, non-fiction, so it's just a random list of all my favourites. So the first one goes without saying, and that is the Harry Potter series. I think I had to get this done and out of the way because it is brilliant and sort of is a guaranteed favourite of mine. So yeah, the Harry Potter books are all my favourites. I have this style of cover right here, and I think my favourite one is probably The Prisoner of Azkaban. I think that one does the best as like, it could be a standalone book. It has, I think, the strongest story, the most interesting character details, and yeah, I really love that. The next one I thought I'd mention is also a kids / teen series, and that is the Switch, Torn and Ascend books by Amanda Hocking. These are them here, and this is the first one, which is specifically my favourite, Switched. I read these when I was 11 or 12, I want to say. I absolutely loved them, like the storyline and all the characters and the love triangle, and it was just everything that you wanted from like your first teen series. It was brilliant. I absolutely loved it. I always say in my mind, do I want to reread it or do I not want to reread it? Because I think if I reread it, I could either absolutely love it because I'll be taken back to this world that I fell in love with, or I could hate it because I'd see so many flaws in it. So I think I'll probably leave it and just let my little brain remember all the memories from reading it first time around. The next one I'm going to mention is a bit more grown up, and that's The Book Thief. Not only is this just a beautiful, beautiful book aesthetically, it's beautifully written and I freaking love it. I love the whole concept of the fact that it's narrated by death and it follows this little girl in Nazi Germany in the Second World War. It's just a beautiful story, and you kind of get a sense of both her innocence throughout the book and also the underlying seriousness of the topic that's being spoken about. I watched the film not too long ago with my grandma actually, and yeah, it was a good film, but I prefer the book for sure. So that's definitely a must read if you haven't read it yet. I really want to reread it now. This video is going to make me want to reread all my favourite books. Next on my list is Animal Farm by George Orwell. Just pick it up and read it because it's so short. You can get it done in one sitting, and I just think everyone has to read this at some point. I think the whole concept of the animals taking over the farm is a bit playful and fun, but at the same time it has so many deep underlying messages that are really important and something that we should all think about. Read this when I was 16, just starting my A-levels, and I think I should read it again, like 2 years later. Well, I should definitely read it again at some point in my life, that goes without saying. And I think that quote on the front is so true to society. It says, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. And that can be applied so much in society, it's insane. I definitely recommend that one. The next book on my list I don't actually have a physical copy of, I borrowed it from the library, and that is The Humans. This book, oh my god, if you didn't think about or observe humanity for what it is before now, you 100% will after reading this book. The premise of it is that a mathematician has come up with this formula that will change the world effectively. So the aliens from outer space who have been observing us on Earth have found out that the formula this guy has found out is actually quite damaging for us. So they abduct him, and in his place an alien sort of lives his life. It's all from this alien's perspective, observing humanity, and it shows him like as he goes his day-by-day life, learning a bit more about people and society in general and how it works, and viewing our lives from that more objective persona is very, very eye-opening and quite scary, to be honest. Not gonna lie, it did leave me questioning my own existence a little bit and how I live my life, but for all the right reasons. It was an absolutely amazing book. So this next one I wanted to mention is more of a vintage classic because it was written in the Second World War, and that is I Captured the Castle by Jodie Smith. Yet another one that I borrowed from the library, so I don't have it with me, but it is written from the perspective of a young girl. I think she's about 9, and it follows her family living in poverty in this old decaying castle in the 1930s, and it's more written as a journal from her perspective, observing the life of the adults and like her elder sister around her, and also her as she grows up. I read this I think when I was 15. 15's the age where you're like starting to grow up slowly, but you're still very much a child, so I think this was a very nice book for me to read then because it related to me observing the adult world rather than being in it. To be honest, I can't remember exactly why I loved it. I just remember loving it at the time. It's always stuck in my memory. I do love books that were written that long ago. I think even though it was relatively recent in terms of the whole of history, but I like the historical aspect and the different views on things. I don't know, I love that whole genre of fiction. Another one that is a must read to everyone on the planet, especially those who identify as feminists, and that is The Handmaid's Tale. I have my A-level version right here, which has all my annotations in it. I read this in year 12 at school. It's of the dystopian genre, written by Margaret Atwood, who has written some brilliant books in general, and it's all about the oppression of women due to a decline in fertility rate, and how the women who can reproduce are kind of abused for that bodily function. And it is just about a world which seems on the surface so distant from us, but then when you really look into it you realise that it's closer than we may think, which is terrifying but makes it a brilliant book. So that's all the fiction books I'm mentioning. Now I've got 3 non-fiction books. The first one is All I Know Now by Carrie Hope Fletcher. I actually have 2 copies of this book, both of which are signed beautifully by the author herself. I just love this. I just love Carrie and her videos on YouTube and her blog, and I think she's such a genuine, kind human being, and when she put this book together I was so happy. It is basically just a guide to all things growing up based on her own experiences, and it's just the most brilliant thing. I found myself going back to this book so many times, referencing it and finding advice from what Carrie puts herself across as just a big sister. I've never had that older sister person that I can go to for advice, so this is what this book was for me. I also met Carrie at her signing at Bluewater a couple of years ago, and that was a phenomenal experience. I think I didn't really speak to her. I was a bit like, hey. And she's just a lovely human being. So yeah, if you're between the ages of like 15 and 22 and you need some advice, that one. The penultimate book I'm going to mention is Magic Lessons by Elizabeth Gilbert. This is one that I've left at uni, so I don't actually have it with me. Such a helpful guide to creativity and embracing your inner creative self. I can't think of a synonym for creative. Personally, I'd say I'm quite a creative person, but I'm in no way like a generic creative, like arty. This book definitely helped me find a way of expressing my creative energy and getting it all out. So things like writing poetry, writing short stories, just making random collages, that really inspired me to do that. And also if you have a specific project in mind, it's really helpful for guiding you and giving you that shove you need to just get it done. And the final book I wanted to mention is The Secret. This is another book that I don't have with me because I took it to uni. I don't quite know how to describe this book. Words cannot describe it. You just need to read it. It's all about fundamentally the law of attraction and how your mindset can bring things into your life and also be the reason that certain things aren't happening. I was always a bit skeptical about whether the law of attraction actually works, but if anything, it just changed my mindset completely about life in general, made me so much more appreciative of what I have, and made me realise how close or far away certain goals are. It's just the most eye-opening, amazing book I think that has ever been written on this sort of topic. As I said, yeah, I read it over the summer, and that was when I was really doubtful about getting into uni in general because I thought my A-levels went so badly, and I used this book and the techniques of the law of attraction to kind of, it sounds really stupid, but like picture myself opening my results on results day, seeing that I've been offered a place at Bristol University, and that's what happened. Exactly what I pictured, that is what happened, and that's what turned into reality. So I don't know if that was just a fluke, a one-off, but that was the first time that this worked for me, and it's definitely been something that I've kind of been working on. If anything, just giving you a more positive and appreciative mindset, and giving you that sense of power within yourself to create your own destiny. It shows you how strong your mind is and how much you can achieve if you just put your mind to it. To anyone, even if you're a little bit doubtful about the law of attraction, I do recommend reading this book. Maybe it's just a bit of an eye-opener. Even if you still don't believe it, that's fine, but just as an insight to this way of thinking. And as I said, if anything, it will open your mind to like different dimensions and realise how much just your brain is capable of. So there you go, that is my top 10 favourite books. I didn't actually realise how long it would take me to film this video because I thought, oh yeah, 10, that's fine, short and sweet. No, turns out I can talk about books for a long time. Again, I hope you're enjoying the 12 days of Christmas and enjoying this video every day. I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit harder than I expected. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you tomorrow with another video. Bye!